I'll be reading from the 32nd chapter, Visit to the Siddhi Brahmo Samaj. The date is October 19, 1884. Sri Ramakrishna is addressing the devotees who have assembled to listen to him. A sub-judge asks Sri Ramakrishna, "Sir, must we renounce the world?" "Master, no. Why should you? A man can realize God even in the world. But at the beginning, he must spend a few days in solitude. He must practice spiritual discipline in a solitary place. He should take a room near his house so that he may come home only for his meals." Keshav, Pratap and others said to me, "Sir, we follow the ideal of King Janaka. Mere words don't make a King Janaka." I replied, "How many austerities King Janaka first had to perform in solitude, standing on his head and so on. Do something first, then you may become a King Janaka. You see a man writing English fluently, but could he do so at the very start? Perhaps he was the son of poor parents. He was a cook in a family and earned his meals by his service. Perhaps he had to struggle hard to go on with his studies. It is after all these efforts that he can now write such fluent English." I said to Keshav further, "How can the worldly man be cured of his serious disease unless he goes into solitude? A worldly man is suffering from delirious fever, as it were. Suppose there are pickled tamarind and jars of water in the room of such a patient. Now, how can you expect him to get rid of the disease? Just see, the very mention of pickled tamarind is making my mouth water." All laugh. You can very well imagine what will happen if the tamarind is actually put in front of me. To a man, a woman is the pickled tamarind, and his desire for enjoyment, the jars of water. There is neither end nor limit to this desire for worldly enjoyment, and the things are in the patient's very room. Can you expect the patient to get rid of the delirious fever in this fashion? He must be removed for a few days to another place where there are neither pickled tamarind nor water jars. Then he will be cured. After that, if he returns to his old room, he will have nothing to fear. Woman and gold cannot do any harm to the man who lives in the world after attaining God. Only then can he lead a detached life in the world as King Janaka did. But he must be careful at the beginning. He must practice spiritual discipline in strict solitude. The peepal tree, when young, is fenced around to protect it from cattle. But there is no need for the fence when the trunk grows thick and strong. There is no harm when to the tree, even if an elephant is tied to it. Woman and gold will not be able to harm you in the least if you go home and lead a householder's life after increasing your spiritual strength and developing love for the lotus feet of God through the practice of spiritual discipline and solitude. A man sets milk in a quiet place to curdle, and then he extracts butter from the curd. After once extracting the butter of devotion and knowledge from the milk of the mind, if you keep that transformed mind in the water of the world, it will float in the world unattached. But if the mind in its unripe state, that is to say, when it is just liquid milk, is kept in the water of the world, then the milk and water will get mixed. In that case, it will be impossible for the mind to float unattached in the world. Live in the world, but in order to realize God, hold fast to his lotus feet with one hand, and with the other do your duties. When you get a respite from your duties, cling to God's lotus feet with both hands. Live in solitude and meditate on him and serve him ceaselessly. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.